Merry Christmas. That's right, kids. It's Christmas in January on this special Christmas episode of Peter Fershlogner's Christmas Reviews for Christmas Fiends. We've got everything Christmas in this episode. We got hot chocky, mistletoe, elves on the shelves, Santa Claus, seasonal depression, and the ghosts of dead relatives. It's a Christmas bonanza. Who am I kidding? It's not Christmas. It's fucking Tuesday. But Tuesday is my favorite day to review Ariel's Disney's The Little Mermaid for the Sega Genesis, which is based on the movie Disney's The Little Mermaid. And I haven't seen this movie in it's been a long time, but if memory serves, it goes a little something like this.
The Little Mermaid is a movie about Ariel, a mermaid who is the smallest of the mermaids. She lives under the sea with her overprotective father, Trident. One day, Ariel meets a man with human legs, and in that moment, she dedicates her life to achieving land penis. She even sings a song about it with her friends, Hermit the Crab and Felcher. One day, Trident becomes angry when he finds land paraphernalia in Ariola's bedroom. Like any reasonable father, he destroys everything in her room, which leads to Ariel suffering from difficulties with emotional regulation later in life. Ariel then decides the only way to achieve land penis now is to make a deal with the devil, but the devil doesn't exist in the ocean, so she makes the deal with the next best thing. Uvula, the wicked witch of the ocean! Uvula agrees to give Ariel human legs, but takes her voice as payment. Then Uvula steals Trident's rake and starts turning all the mermaids into nutsacks. Meanwhile, Ariel visits land, where bad shit happens. Prince Eric's horny chef tries to eat Crab-Lanta, Flounder gets mugged, and Ariel gets attacked by wolves, but Prince Eric saves her and murders the wolves with a sword. Oh wait, that's the Little Mermaid anime. Did you know there was a Little Mermaid anime? My mom accidentally rented it for me when I was a kid because the family-owned video store put the wrong VHS in the Little Mermaid box. It was depressing as fuck, which led me to suffer from difficulties with emotional regulation later in life. Anyways, in the end, Prince Eric stabs Uvula to death with a fucking boat, Ariel saves her family of shriveled nutsacks, and they all live happily ever after. Except for Uvula, because she's fucking dead. The end.
And that's exactly how I remember it. Now let's see how the game stacks up.
So, in Ariel, Disney's The Little Mermaid, you find yourself traveling through vast and dangerous underwater lands on your journey to defeat the evil Ursula and save your fellow mermaids. You can choose to play as either Ariel or Triton. Jeez, dude, Triton looks like he wants no part in this shit whatsoever. Look at him. His eyes are practically rolling back into his skull. God, even his in-game sprite looks annoyed. Ariel, on the other hand, looks ready for adventure, so let's play as her. Alright, so in order to complete a stage in this game, you have to save all of your fellow mermaids. You do this by collecting
seabed nutsacks.
Collecting all of the
seabed nutsacks
in a stage will free your friends from Ursula's spell. Oh, dude, look at these fucking mermaids. Gross. They're like creepy nightmare mannequins, dude. These things are horrifying. Could you imagine if you got up to get some snacks and these things were just like chilling in your hallway?
No thanks.
I digress. Once you've freed your fishy friends, you can exit the stage. Simple. Or is it? Because in order to traverse these stages, you must face a variety of obstacles and enemies that want nothing more than to take a bite out of that sweet, delicious fish end. So basically, you roam around the ocean floor frightening the sea life with your singing voice, because that's how you attack, by singing. It's like my dad always said when I would sing. He would say, "Jesus Christ, are you trying to kill me?" Which led me to suffer from difficulties with emotional regulation later in life. Oh my god! What the fuck is this? This is like some kind of demonic carving of a fish head straight from the 7th layer of hell. I feel like this was put here intentionally by the programmers to instill nightmares in children. Oh, Disney, always trying and succeeding at scarring children for life. But hey, at least it's not a penis castle. Remember the penis castle? You know, the deceptive dong, the disguised dick, the shrouded shaft, the masked member, the surreptitious schlong, the sequestered sausage, the veiled, virile, veiny, top secret, classified, clandestine cock? We remember Disney, and we won't forget. You may have erased the penis from your VHS boxes, but you can't erase the penis from our hearts. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, stage 1. So stage 1 ain't so bad. Obviously, it's the first stage. The enemies consist of eels, crabs, clams, sharks, and anemones. Mennonites. These guys are small and fast, and you've got to be quick to put them out of commission. They're all over the place, and the moment you're in range, they spaz out like hyperactive 5-year-olds on Christmas morning on cocaine. Then you've got the eels, which are your standard baddies. They roam around aimlessly until you come in range, at which point they lightly pursue you. Nothing new. You've also got crabs, but they're easy to get rid of. You just got to hit them with the shampoo. The sharks, however, are extremely aggressive, and there's a lot of them in this game. There's also clams that will rest on the seabed and wait for you to pass over them, and when you do, they'll come up at you, over at you, and then drop down on you. But if you smack them, they sometimes drop valuable pearls that net you currency. And speaking of currency, there's also treasure chests located throughout the stages that contain randomized treasure drops. To open a chest, you'll need a key, but there's plenty of keys floating around the stages, and you could also buy them from the shop, aka Scuttle's Black Market. You see, Scuttle sells what others won't, including things like human hearts, fish servants, and explosives. Oh, Scuttle, you fucking criminal, out there harvesting human organs. What a guy. Or I guess, what a go. Oh yeah, about the fish in Scuttle's shop, I forgot to mention you have fish friends in this game, but they're more like fish servants. That's right, Flounder, you little fish bitch. Move that rock.
I own you, Flounder. I own you like Disney owns everything.
There's also a Sebastian and a swordfish you can use, but I have no idea what they do. Fuck off, Sebastian. Oh, another thing, this game has a really cool map feature, which is very useful considering how maze-like the stages can be, especially the second stage where you're swimming around a sunken pirate ship with a crew of armed pirate skeletons. Jesus, dude, these skeletons are fucking dicks. Is this how you greet your guests? By attempting to eviscerate them with cutlasses? I'm just out here trying to do some good in the world, you know, save my friends from an evil curse and maybe steal some of your treasure. Jesus Christ. It's obvious these pirate skeletons can't be reasoned with. They're clearly intoxicated. I'm just gonna have to tough it out, which is not easy because this ship is extremely claustrophobic. It's comprised solely of small spaces and tons of enemies, but worst of all is the fact that these boners break apart when you defeat them, and each piece of them can do damage to you. Man, it is really difficult to avoid the skeleton bits, and these assholes keep clipping through walls. I mean, I'm getting boned here. Oh, and there's also a bunch of doors in these ships that release enemies when they're opened, and they can be opened multiple times. Not to mention the cannons that are constantly firing cannonballs that just bounce around the room while all this is going. Would you just look at this cluster?
Gee, I wonder what's behind door number 1. Oh god!
So it's obvious I'm having a bit of trouble navigating through the narrow passages in this game, which probably has a little to do with the controls. You see, the way your character controls in this game can be a bit clunky. When changing directions, Ariel moves pretty slow, and she really won't pick up speed unless you commit to a direction. So if you're at a standstill and you start rotating the D-pad, she'll slowly navigate, but if you just tap a direction, she takes off like a torpedo. It can be pretty frustrating, especially when you start getting stuck on stuff. Now, being that this is a game where you're utilizing multi-directional movement while swimming around in the ocean, it does beg comparison to Echo the Dolphin, a game with far superior controls, in part because your speed in Echo is controlled by a separate button, while in The Little Mermaid, all movement is tied to the D-pad. But maybe comparing Echo the Dolphin to The Little Mermaid isn't fair. Point being, your character doesn't control like complete shit in this game, it's just that it feels like there's a lot to be desired. Speaking of which, the boss fights in this game definitely leave a lot to be desired. The bosses all seem to use the same strategy, which boils down to spray and pray. Take the first stage boss, for example. He's just a giant stationary lava head that fires lava balls at you. You of course have the option to desperately dodge around, but if you stay in this little spot above his head and just attack downward, you're golden. Then you got the stage 2 boss, which is a shark that barfs out smaller sharks. It sounds like a fucking nightmare, but he's actually completely incompetent. It's like the boss operates separate from your character, as if you're not even a factor. And for the record, you can just use the same strategy that applies to the first boss to defeat this boss, and the same strategy that applies to this boss applies to every boss in the game. gain the high ground, and unleash hell on the top of their heads. The bosses have no recovery time after being hit, so you can just go apeshit. These bosses are lame. They're nothing but schlemiels to think they could take on a smaller, faster, and better equipped fighter. I mean, Ariel's over here floating like a flounder, stinging like a jellyfish, and it's just not challenging when you've got 8 directions to move in and you're fighting a boss with the mobility of a beached whale. Alright, so I have a few minor gripes, but for the most part, I really enjoy the experience of this game. See, I only had a handful of Sega games growing up, and this was one of them. And because I spent a lot of time with this game, the sound effects still give me a little jolt of nostalgia every time I hear them. Especially the little anemones that bounce around the stages. To me, that's equivalent to hearing the item box burst in Sonic the Hedgehog, and honestly, I feel the same way about the music. The Little Mermaid seemed to have a truly unique soundtrack. The music was bouncy and fun and fresh, and apart from the menu music, which is just a 16-bit version of Under the Sea, I really didn't recognize a single song from the film in this game. Apparently for good reason. You see, I decided to do a little digging and discovered that the soundtrack to this game was, according to Wikipedia, composed by a group known as Dukuku, which was an all-female band founded by Tina Blaine specializing in electronic percussion. Now, from what I was able to gather, these ladies were way ahead of the times with the music they created. I mean, we're talking about some real badasses here. Not only did they design their own custom electronic instruments with the help of Silicon Valley engineers, but they went as far as to build like a giant MIDI ball that acted as an interactive beach ball, which would change the samples connected to their instruments when it was hit, essentially allowing the crowd at their live shows to be an active participant in their performances. Now, I can't say for certain that these ladies were behind the soundtrack to this game, being that the only direct link I found was a single Wikipedia credit, but there's plenty of evidence to support them being fans of Disney, like the fact that they mentioned Beauty and the Beast in their live performances, or this picture of the group apparently chilling at Disneyland in 1994. I can also personally hear subtle similarities between their live performances and the game's soundtrack. So, could be true, could be false. Who knows? All I know is that I love the soundtrack to this game, and I think the fact that it led me down a rabbit hole that ended at this awesome band is a testament to its greatness. But I digress. After completing the 4th and final stage, it's time for a showdown with the Sea Witch herself. Ursula, you slaggy cunt! Speaking of Ursula, let me just take this moment to say that I absolutely love this 8-legged freak, and Poor Unfortunate Souls is one of my favorite Disney villain songs. It's just a fact that Ursula is the best part of Little Mermaid. I mean, a good villain can make or break a movie, and Ursula is just awesome. And I'm gonna be honest, I got a bit of a crush on her. I just want that gluttonous, power-hungry sea witch to wrap those writhing tentacles around my neck and fucking strangle me on the seabed.
But that would make God cry, and as a man of the cloth, I can do no such thing. Forgive me, Lord. My horniness for Ursula is a cursula.
Pathetic.
Anyways, it's time to take down this octa-cunt once and for all. So I'll just use the same strategy on her that I used on all the other bosses. Might as well fire off some of these special attacks I've been accumulating, and that's the fight. Cool, she exploded into fart dust. What a loser. I did it. I saved the day. Hey, you know what I just noticed? Prince Eric isn't in this game at all, and no one even gives 1/4,000,000th of a fuck, because Eric is a shitty name for a prince. His name should have been Prince Marquess Legland Cornelius, Duke of Landopolis, but no, instead we get Eric. Might as well have called him Prince Kyle.
Sorry to anyone named Kyle. I mean, I'm sorry your name is Kyle. It's a heavy burden.
Okay, so what did I think of The Little Mermaid? Well, the game is fun. It's not very difficult, but it's not too easy. The stages themselves are all fairly large, which makes the map feature all the more useful. The fish friend system is neat, although I didn't really utilize my fish as much as I could have. I think it's cool that there's an item shop, which gives you a good reason to find and unlock treasure chests. And like I said, I love the soundtrack, although I do have one single complaint, and that's that I found this strangely upbeat song that plays during the darkest, creepiest, and most difficult stage of the game a tad bit unfitting. Just listen to this. I mean, does that really match the ambiance of Ursula's lair? No. The graphics were also very good. All the characters are recognizable. Ariel and Triton have different sprite animations depending on their current angle. The bosses, however, were lacking. All of the boss fights played out pretty much the same, and I did not enjoy them. Now, that could be due somewhat to the controls, but the fights just weren't challenging, and I get it. This is a Disney game, so I don't expect to echo the Dolphin levels of difficulty when it comes to the boss fights, but the fights in Echo were much more innovative, and I feel like they could have done more with the bosses in The Little Mermaid, especially given that they had a Disney level budget. And we've all seen what can be accomplished with a Disney level budget. Oh, oops. Whoops. Whoops. Oops. Whoops. So I guess I'd have to give Ariel, Disney's The Little Mermaid, 4 shaved squanches out of 5. Now don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share my videos with fucking everyone you know. And if you really enjoy these reviews, feel free to throw $1 my way by donating to Patreon. I can't guarantee you a lap dance, but it'll sure help get the videos out quicker.
And now it's time for Comments with Peter, the part of the show where Peter reads your stupid fucking comments.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Comments with Peter, the part of the show where I read your comments. Today I will be enjoying a beverage from my tiny baby Yoda coffee mug, which was made in China. Lead. Let's see what my adoring fans have to say. Oh, and remember, YouTube is patrolling the comment section extra hard now, so we have to be careful what we say on this wonderful platform. Have you ever eaten ass, then the next morning your tummy hurts, and then you make the unfortunate realization that you ate the bad ass? Oops. Peter, has your anus ever itched so bad that when you scratch it you get a brown spot on your panties? Alright, look, we gotta be adults now, guys, okay? YouTube is laying down the law. Let's be respectful. Have you ever farted so hard that you scratched your hemorrhoids? Okay, come on. Are you guys trying to get me demonetized? Oh wait, I did that to myself. How in the fuck is your channel still so unknown? I just don't get it. Did you piss off a gypsy in your childhood or something? Yes, but I don't think it's the gypsies we have to worry about. I think it's the algorithm. Damn you, Susan Wakajiski. You fucking cunt. Happy Halloween, Mr. Nipples. Thanks. Where do you get your hair cut? Can your mom also cut my hair? Hey, my mom doesn't cut my hair. I'm a grown-ass man. I cut my own hair. Every time I get the notification from YouTube that you've uploaded a video, I get real excited because these videos make me so happy. And I'm not a YouTube slut. I only have notifications on for you. Wow, thanks, man. That's awesome. You know, this year is off to a good start. I think I see good things in the future. Because even though the YouTube algorithm is fucking me in the ass, not if I have something to say about it, fucker! Oh god. Oh fuck!